Hey, hey, how you doing? It's Jackie M. Give me a second, I'll make sure everyone's on board. Scroll this down a bit. Okay, checking the audio. Checking. Come on. Why is there no audio? Is there audio? Testing. Come on, testing, come on. Can you guys hear me? Audio's plugged in. Dismiss. Hey, McLeod girl, can you hear me? I can't hear me. Okay, yeah, it's back. Okay, cool, right here. Hey guys, Jackie M, and today is a special makeup session for tomorrow's session actually, because I can't be around tomorrow to do my Wednesday 5:30 broadcast. So today I was going to make cheesecake, but unfortunately I forgot. Awesome, you can hear me, good. Yeah, I was going to make cheesecake today, but I forgot to buy cream cheese because the batch I had in my fridge turned out was already gone moldy. So that is going to have to wait. And I figured I might as well do a bit of catch-up cooking. So I'm going to make, some of the stuff that I always eat, which is wontons, the dumplings. And one thing I don't think I've actually made live on air before on Twitch is the wonton noodle sauce. All right, so this is a sauce that you toss with your wonton noodles. And wonton noodles, in case you don't know, is basically just noodles. Essentially, it just means noodles served with wontons. All right, but there's a specific type of noodles that we do use for it, which of course I forgot to bring out. Hang on. Okay, so wonton noodles, usually they serve with these skinny egg noodles, right? These ones here. So I usually have a bag in my fridge, and you can buy these at your local Asian grocery store. You can make your own. You can use the noodles that I made in yesterday's session. So you can have like these thin noodles, or you can actually ask for the wider cut noodles like what I did yesterday as well. So, but this is more commonly served with wontons, right? And you can have it dry style, which is what I'm going to do today. Or you can have it in a broth with the wontons and all that sort of stuff. So I'm going to make the wontons, also known as dumplings or whatever else. I prefer to make the larger ones, which are actually called sui gao. Basically just means water dumplings, right? But it's essentially the same filling, but they're just larger. The other point of difference is that I don't have the wonton skin today, but I've got these ones here that are actually meant for gaojis. All right, so I'm going to actually, they're a little bit thicker and they're paler as well because they've got no egg in them. So, and they're a bit old as well. So hopefully I can pull them apart and at least make a few that we can use for today. But because they're for gaojis, the shape is round. So gaojis are, I know this really gross, I've got a band-aid on. Gaojis, usually you pleat it a little bit different, but it doesn't matter, skin is skin anyway. So we're going to use that. And so the dumplings are going to be made with chicken mince, with mixture of chicken mince and prawn mince. And also I will be making the sauce of the noodles, which I have to check out the recipe for. I've got it on my website. Hang on a sec. And by the way, yeah, you can see I've been shopping today, right? So I'm still accumulating the stuff for the giveaway, which we're not going to give away this stuff today. We're going to give away a Rode microphone. All right, so stick around, and it's going to be a random draw. If you're watching this, by the way, anywhere else except for Twitch, the only way you can actually be part of the draw is if you actually go and watch this on Twitch, because it will then be able to pick out your name and throw it in the random selector as well. All right, so hop over to my Twitch channel, which is twitch.tv/JackieMFood, And before I go on any further, shout out to Lenovo Australia for the laptops I use for my broadcast. I'm using a Lenovo Y700, which is a gaming laptop. And I'm also separately, hey, mommy, how you doing? This one, mommy. Mommy is easier. So the laptop that I use to monitor the chats is separate. I use a Lenovo ThinkPad X1 Yoga, okay? This one over here. So you see me looking down just because this is my ThinkPad, and it's got like my greasy finger stains with it. But yeah, so as far as the Australian lollies, you know, I was thinking after I paid for all this that, you know, this is really adding up, okay? And then I was thinking, why didn't I just contact these like companies and ask them to donate them, you know? I probably should, but it just seemed like, because you start out thinking, oh, how expensive are biscuits anyway? But you'd be surprised once you buy it. Hey, Sammy, I thought you're not meant to be live till tomorrow. Yeah, I'm not, but it's just tomorrow I'm actually out filming for a marketing campaign. So I won't be around tomorrow, unfortunately. So I kind of like brought it forward today. But I figured just to make up for it, we're going to give away this Rode microphone by the end of this stream, all right? So this is the video mic me, courtesy of Rode microphones. It says on it that it's for the iPhone or iPad, but you can actually use it on Androids as well. So this is a fantastic prize from Rode microphones. And also shout out to Rode microphones for the microphone I use for my live broadcast as well. Okay, you know, this is nice and light and easy to ship as well, you know. Whereas these damn things, it's like the damn snakes, they weigh a freaking ton. Like this is 200 grams, okay. And then I got the bananas, which aren't too bad. But a lot of the sweets I saw today at the supermarket, they're like bulky and they're like heavy sort of thing. So I managed to find some, and not. I saw more Tim Tams because people were saying yesterday that I should look for the white chocolate Tim Tam, right? And I saw that, but again, it was like a pack this size. If they had it in smaller packs, I would buy those. And the other thing also, Noah is still with me. But apparently Tiny Teddies is Australian as well. You guys better be damn right, because I don't know which is Australian and which is non, all right? And we're actually, I'm trying to put together basically a giveaway box consisting of all Australian biscuits and lollies and whatever. And so I will probably do the draw for this on Saturday night during the campfire. But in the meantime, I'm just accumulating them. But these are Tiny Teddies. So this one is a great one for me, because it's got like 15 small packs of Tiny Teddies, right? I can actually make a couple of different, I can probably split it into a couple of different boxes. And then someone said the other day that Samboy is Australian as well. I don't know, you better be right that Samboy is uniquely Australian. Okay, so I picked out a couple of Samboy crisps here. And I got Violet Crumble, which is meant to be Australian. And Crunchy, which apparently is meant to be Australian, okay. And Caramel Koala and Freddo. Okay, so I've got a couple of these. And then someone mentioned the other day Byron Bay cookies. Okay, these are actually white chocolate and macadamia nut chunk, whatever sort of thing. So I've got a couple of Byron Bay cookies. So Byron Bay is a place in Australia, right? Yeah, so more of those, and then still had the Arnott's from yesterday, and the Tim Tams, and the snakes, and the bananas from yesterday. I saw Cherry Ripe just at the checkout, you know, but you know what it's like when you're at the checkout there for impulse buys, right? And like just a little, about half the size of this Cherry Ripe was $2. I was thinking, no, I can't pay $2 for like something that you munch through in like 3 bites, you know. So hopefully I'll find cheaper cherry bites next time, but supposedly that's very Australian. Who knew? But so I'm accumulating all these sweets, and it's going to be quite a large parcel at the end of this. All right. But so there are a couple more things I'd like to add to it. Hey, Cyan. That cookie sounds yummy. It does, doesn't it? Hey, it's the one thing I would probably eat if I had to eat any of this, because like I don't eat like, you know, snacks or sweets and stuff like that. But this one sounds a little bit more, you know, I mean, to be fair, it says gluten-free, and that is not a selling point to me, because anytime someone tries to pitch something as, you know, towards a particular fat diet demographic, it to me, it's like, I instinctively think, oh, well, they must have had to compromise on the flavor or the ingredients or something like that. But it does otherwise sound nice because I like macadamias, and white chocolate chunk sounds interesting. So, so all these, we're going to, like I said, I'm still hoping to find cherry ripes, cheaper cherry ripes, and hopefully smaller packs of Tim Tams as well. Then I'll be able to assemble, you know, at least probably a couple of boxes of giveaways for hopefully, you know, hopefully it'll be won by someone who's going to appreciate it. All right, put this away. And I saw more of those must sticks as well that you guys got me to test out. And I was thinking, oh, I might buy some must sticks because they're meant to be Australian, but they taste so awful. And also they were quite heavy. Again, 200 grams, like 200 grams for one pack of, like, you know, just the one pack of something that doesn't even, to me, taste nice. Seems to be a way, especially if you're going to be shipping it somewhere, like, you know, where the shipping charges are going to be astronomical. Crossing my fingers. Okay, but today, by the end of this, we are giving away a Video Mic Me Rode microphone. Okay, so that's going to be a good one to give away. And like I said, I'm going to be making wonton noodles, but if you've got time, I've actually got some fish that I want to make some fish paste with and stuff these eggplant with. All right, I know if you guys watch me on a regular basis, you've seen me do it a number of times, but this is something that I eat on a regular basis. Okay, so if you watch me often enough, you're going to find repeats of recipes because, like, you know, if I'm going to be cooking live on air for 10 hours a week, I want to be cooking stuff that I like eating. Okay, so if you could bear with me for that. So let's peel up the prawns while I pull up my wonton sauce recipe, wonton noodle sauce. So don't make it that often anymore. Wonton. Here you go. Everyone's holding out for this one. Okay, how to cook wonton mee. Okay, here you go. Okay, so the sauce, I want garlic oil, and then it's going to be a combination of like oyster sauce, abalone sauce, pepper, and soy sauce, and all that sort of stuff. Alright, it's just a matter of ratios. But let's get some oil going. I don't actually have that much oil. I've got about this much. You can't really see it. I'm going to start heating it up, and I'll mince some garlic and fry it up so we can get some aromatic garlic oil out of that. Okay. Here you go. I probably don't need all of that oil actually. Let me just take some out. And yeah, for those who've been asking, Noah is getting better. He's still home from childcare today. And so he's in the other room watching his show, happily, for the moment. We'll see how he goes. So while that's heating up, garlic, I'm going to grab garlic. And for whatever reason, if you're in Sydney, like the weather has been like quite warm and sunny, and then today is all clouds. But apparently it won't last. It'll be sunny again tomorrow, hopefully. So I'm just going to toss some garlic in here in the thermocook. These are peeled garlic cloves. You can buy them in Australia. You can buy these at your well-stocked greengrocer or at your Asian grocery store, well-stocked Asian grocery store, right? So a big bag like this costs anywhere between $7 to $10, depending on where you buy them. It's just easier because it's all peeled up for you, but it's still fresh garlic, so it's very aromatic. Glad to hear Noah is doing better. I know. Thank God. It was so miserable. I mean, I'm pretty tough, right? So I'm used to, you know, I've raised him on my own, you know, even like obviously when I was pregnant, you know, I was on my own with him, so I'm used to toughing it out. But after like 3 days of incessant moaning and crying and like just suffering, it was really tough on my psyche, I have to admit. Okay, maybe the storms. Oh, don't say that. We don't want your storms. Is that where you are, McLeod? Let's do it a little bit more. The funny thing is, like, I always imagine Western Australia to be really like super hot year round, right? And then you see, like, I see my friends from Perth posting their temperatures on Facebook, and it's like 8 degrees Celsius. Like, what the hell is going on? Whereas in Sydney, it's virtually summer without temperatures. I've got too much stuff in here. Okay, here you go. In goes the oil. So you really just want to get the oil to smell nice and garlicky, and then you're going to strain it out. You can use the garlic crisp still, right, in your noodles, but with the noodles, with this sauce, because you're going to bottle it or store it in the fridge, you don't generally want the crumbs of garlic in there, okay? You just want the oil with the sauce. Okay, so this wonton noodle sauce, most wonton noodle sauce that you see online, they can be quite basic. You can actually, in all honesty, if you're really desperate and you've got some noodles and you want to like toss it through some sauce, some people actually just throw in a bit of oyster sauce, bit of soy sauce, and toss it around. All right, this one is better than that. Okay, this one has got a balance of like different flavors. But again, I always tell people a lot of the things that I made, I can you know, the flavors that I develop are kind of like not built around, but you know, they're adjusted to the brands of sauces that I use. And I'm not representing any brand per se, but like what I'm saying is that, you know, you got to tweak your recipes, you know, because some oyster sauce you use might be more salty, some might be more sweet, and you know, same with like soy sauce. Some soy sauces can be quite strong flavored, right? You know, and I'm using something called abalone sauce, which is a little bit more exotic. You should be able to find it on the same shelf as where you find oyster sauce. But having said that, if you can't find it, leave it out and just add a little bit more oyster sauce. Okay, abalone sauce is very similar to oyster sauce, but oyster sauce can be quite sharp sometimes, right? Abalone sauce is a little bit more well-rounded. Also, the color is a little bit paler as well. Okay, take a day off and treat yourself to a nice massage. I don't do massages. What are you talking about? I don't do pampering. My idea of pampering is just doing nothing. Just reading a book in bed. I've never paid a cent for a manicure or for a massage or anything like that. I mean, I've done like a token massage just to keep someone company, but it's not my thing per se. Having to work and take care of a sick child, so you haven't been sleeping well. Oh, you know, you'd be surprised. No, I didn't sleep well for a couple of days, but the great thing about working for yourself is that you can actually, you know, you're answerable only to yourself, for better or worse. So the Huffington Post article that I wrote, it took me like about 6 or 8 weeks to get it together, or probably closer to 6 weeks, because I was just, you know, I had no deadlines because I work for myself. I do everything like, you know, I'm not accountable to anyone. So for better or for worse, I can sleep in for 20 hours, you know, if I want to, except for, you know, like I said, things like tomorrow and my weekly market and all that sort of stuff. Okay, so you can fry this a little bit, like, you know, you don't want to kill this, but just like enough to kind of bring out the flavor a bit. So this is actually turning golden. All right, that's enough. If you the thing is, like, once you take it off the heat, the garlic will actually continue to brown some more. So don't take it off when it's brown, okay, because it's going to be black otherwise by the time it cools down. So here's some prawns that I'm going to just peel up, and I'm going to mince them. And I've got my pack of chicken mince. See, there's a method to my madness. So yesterday I used chicken mince for that chicken mince noodle thing, and I've got another packet. See where it says any 2 for $9. That's why I bought 2, and that's why I need to use this other one up, right? And by the way, that chicken mince noodle is actually really nice. You wouldn't guess it because it seems quite plain and quite basic. And the picture I posted on Discord and on social media, and some of it anyway, I put a lot of chicken mince on there, but traditionally you actually really only have like a really small smattering of it. It's meant to be really a fully, it's like a carb overload dish, all right? It's all noodles and then with a sprinkling of like chicken mince that you can see through pork mince usually, but I use chicken. Yeah, sort of thing. But I'm just being greedy there, but it's just so you know. Okay, so let's get this peeled up. And again, if you're just joining me, by the end of this broadcast, we're going to do a giveaway for the Rode microphone, so hang around. And we want to actually, ideally, give it away, like I said, towards the end, but also not when everybody's left. Maybe we should just to just to reward the hardcore ones. Okay, so I'm just basically completely peeling the skin and the head off, right? When I'm using it for dumplings, I don't usually bother trying to devein it. Okay, that's just me because I eat it for, you know, it's for personal consumption anyway. But these prawns I bought at an Asian fish store, and they cost about $25 a kilo. So they're a little bit more expensive than the banana prawns that I usually get, but they're larger as well, so they're easier to peel. And banana prawns lately have been about $22. So we're talking a difference of like $3, and I figured, you know, I'll pay a little bit more and have something nicer and bigger. Anybody else? Feet frozen. Is anybody having problems with freezing? I made the mince a few hours ago for tomorrow's dinner. Then need to buy the noodles tomorrow. Oh, okay, cool, right, yeah. Yeah, is anyone else having problems with the feet? It seems like mine's okay, from what I can see so far. The it's fine over here. Okay, cool, right, yeah. Yeah, the mince, if you use the dried mushroom, I think it'll be nicer. But honestly, you couldn't taste the mushroom the way I made it yesterday because I blitzed it all in the food processor. So in a way, it's a good way to bulk up your, you know, the topping as well. But also, if you're vegan or vegetarian, you could potentially actually replace the mince with like minced mushroom. Because yeah, I couldn't tell it apart, in all honesty. So that was actually like, you know, did I adjust the flavor? No, I think it was what you saw was what I ended up with, and yeah, it was surprisingly quite flavorsome. But the garlic, I think, really makes it. Okay, I've seen some recipes online that don't put garlic in it at all, and to me that's just like that's a fail for me. Mine has frozen for some reason. Huh? What shiitake use pork and beef mince? Beef mince, oh, that's interesting. Cool. Yeah, let me know how it tastes. But the chicken mince to me works really well. Okay, so not as many prawns as I would have liked, but that's okay. I'm just gonna, like I said, I'm just not gonna bother. This is what the garlic was in. I'm just gonna very lightly pulse this. I don't want it pureed to a paste. I want to be able to taste like bits of the prawns, all right? So let's throw this in. Let's have a look. Okay, so there you go. Back now. Okay, cool. Is your Western Australian internet McLeod? Okay, here you go. Let's scrape this in. Is everyone in WA on? Oh, well, got a big chunk here. I'm gonna throw it back. Everyone in WA got NBN yet, or? Okay. Been playing a bit with this. Yeah, that's what it is. Taste test earlier is yummy. I will make a simple soup tomorrow as well. Oh, cool. That's good to know. Yeah, I mean, like, depending on how much mince you toss through the noodles, you might want to add a dash or two of fish sauce, you know, when you serve it up. But yeah, I thought it was really nice. It's not, yeah, it's just like comfort food, you know, kind of. I had a little bit yesterday after I took a photo of it, and then later on I craved some more and I actually had some more as well. So maybe it's just because I've never really eaten something like that, you know. So I thought it was nice. Put this away. And I'm gonna add the chicken mince. Like I said, usually I would want a closer to 1-to-1 ratio of chicken to prawn, but that's all the prawn I've got. Well, that's all the prawn I defrosted. So I'm not gonna be someplace and get it, but I haven't yet. All right, are you on ADSL too, or? But everybody thought NBN was going to be the big lifesaver, you know, for slow internets, but apparently it's terrible from what I've seen online anyway. So I'm using, like I said, I'm using mobile data for my live streaming, which just kills my budget. But it's at least like it doesn't play up often unless I'm having like, you know, hardware. Like the problems I've been having with my mobile data when there is a problem have been related to the hardware. Well, with Telstra anyway, with Optus, when I was on Optus trying to use their service, their mobile data was slow because apparently it was oversubscribed in my area, so go figure. Okay, so chicken, let's throw this out, and I'm gonna add, for crunch, I'm going to add the stem of some of these kailan, alright, which I'm going to also blitz in the thermocook. So these are the veggies, okay, and they've got some sturdy stems. I'm just going to cut off that much of it, okay, and just use it to add some crunchy texture to the filling. That's kind of like my cheat way of doing so. Usually it's more traditionally water chestnuts that go into your dumpling filling, alright, for the crunchiness. It's just usually water chestnuts, they're cheap. Like you buy a can for like $1 or $1.20 or something like that here. But I don't always use up a whole can and then I forget about them and they go off. Okay, what did I do? Here we go. ADSL2, yeah, that's okay. Needs a little bit more blitzing. Okay, that's a bit better. Yeah, I've got ADSL2 in my building here, and that's my only broadband option. And unless I actually, like, originally when I first moved into this apartment block and was told that NBN wasn't even on their like this place wasn't even on the NBN timetable yet, right? Which means we're going to be like years and years and years before we get it. I thought about getting like a business solution where you essentially, they actually would lay like cables into your building to give you a business like broadband line. But holy moly, the cost. I think the setup cost was going to be, and this is like with third-party suppliers, right? Setup cost is going to be a couple of $1,000s, I think, from memory. And then you're going to be paying like $500 a month for it, you know? So it's crazy. So this is going to look a bit green because of the stems, okay? But like I said, it's just for personal consumption. I want to add a little bit of egg white to this. And then for crunchiness, I'm just going to add, for this amount, just half an egg white will be enough. Okay. And then I'm going to add some fried shallots, some commercial fried shallots. Okay, so this is a Jackie M thing. I should copyright all my recipes, you know. Okay, so these are fried shallots. You can buy them at your local Asian grocery store, right? Or you can buy them at IKEA as well. Usually you can buy them in like smaller tubs. And nowadays I think I've seen them at Woolworths or Coles or something like that in the Asian food section. So I'm just sprinkling some over here. Just adds a little bit of a nice onion flavor, mild onion flavor. I mean, like, because it's already fried up and it's commercially produced, it's not going to be like as aromatic as like adding your own freshly fried up onion, right? Okay, then I'm gonna add some chicken powder. Okay, just for this amount, probably about that tablespoon in it. Yeah, about. That's about an American tablespoon. You can add a little bit more, just adjust it if you want. Plenty of white pepper. Okay, so if you don't know, an American tablespoon is 15 mils and an Australian tablespoon is 20 mils. Okay, so this is just oil, sesame oil. Okay, toss that in, and then just gonna mix this up. Oh, spring onion, if I've got some. Some spring onion. Let me have a look. Yeah, I've got spring onion. Okay, some of these ingredients are a little bit optional, alright? I'm just adding them because I've got them. So if you don't have prawns, you can do straight out chicken. And you don't want to use chicken powder, you can just put like salt. Most recipes will just say salt. You can, like, if you're using salt, you can maybe just add a touch of sugar just to kind of like cut through the saltiness, right? Just to balance it out. But chicken powder will give you that same effect, essentially giving it like a bit more body. So a lot of the time I don't use salt in my cooking because the chicken powder is salty. Okay, that should be enough. And now you just want to mix it together, and I put on some gloves and just let me just move this away a little bit. Okay, and what I usually do once I've done this is I just basically pack the filling into takeaway tubs and store them in the fridge. And then every time I want some dumplings, I pull out like some dumpling wrappers, which in fact you can actually make yourself if you're so inclined. I've tried one time and it just seemed like too much hard work, but you know, if you can't find the wrapper, it's just, yeah. You saw what I did with the noodles. It's essentially the same kind of idea, really. Okay. So let's just move this a bit closer to me. Just mix this up. So if you're just joining me, again, stick around because we're going to do a giveaway by the end of this. And say hello in the chat room. Let me know where you're watching from. Okay, so you just want to mix it really well, just to make sure you've got like the seasoning all mixed through and the prawns all mixed through. And the dumplings can actually be deep fried as well if you prefer, but I usually poach them. I've got a feeling that I need a little bit more chicken powder, but I might just leave it because I tend to over salt things. I always think, oh, you know, needs more salt, and then I put too much. So I'll leave it this time around. Okay, so that's done. Just clean up my fingers a little bit. Put this aside. Okay, so let's make the sauce for the noodles, and for that I've got the crispy garlic oil. I'm going to strain out the garlic and then use the oil for the sauce. You see what I mean about the garlic getting super brown even after you take it out of the oil? See, that's how it's ended up looking. Okay, but that's fine. Like I say, you can box it up and then use it to sprinkle over the noodles or over whatever else you're using, and just get something for it. In the man, how you doing? How's the man? I'm making a sauce for the noodles that I'm about to cook up. So that's the crispy garlic, all right? A little bit browner than I would like, in all honesty, but that's fine. You can use it. And the man, stick around because we're gonna be doing a giveaway later on during this broadcast. So let me just move this out and put the oil back in here. Okay, so now this oil is infused with garlic, all right? And I know that sounds like a lot of oil, but you need it for when you toss them through the noodles later on. So let's bring the stove back. Okay, so let's have a look what sort of quantities we want. So I've got about a cup of oil here. I want soy sauce, sesame oil, thick soy sauce, oyster sauce, abalone sauce. It's going to be half and half oyster sauce, abalone sauce, right? And they are going to be like the main, basically the main ingredients in the sauce here. So let's do this. said, traditionally, you're more likely to find recipes that contain soy sauce only, oyster sauce only. So this is the oyster sauce. I've used it a number of times. So I want to use the rest of this, okay? This is, and this is abalone sauce over here. This is, I mean, look, if you can't find abalone sauce, just use straight out oyster sauce. Like I said, 99% of recipes online are going to only call for oyster sauce, okay? And the reason I'm using half and half is, first of all, because I came across the suggestion at Lily Ng's blog. Lily Ng is actually someone who went to the same school I did in my little hometown in Malaysia, who now lives in Colorado. She's a couple of years older than me, but she has a fabulous, to me, if you're Malaysian, and you really crave, and you live overseas, right? And you really crave like how to recreate the flavors from your childhood, a bit like me basically, but I think she started out a little bit earlier. Her blog is a good one to check out. It's called, I don't know what it's called. If you Google Lily's Waisekhong, Waisekhong, you'll find it, because it's not an easy, it's not like mine, which is just jackiem.com.au. X-Stylet, thanks for following. So she's got like great recipes there, and I used to refer to it quite a lot, right? It's not like all like pretty like Instagram picture type recipes, right? Which I actually appreciate, because every time someone has a really like highly stylized blog, I get really suspicious, because I tend to think, oh, all style and no substance, you know, because a lot of blogs, for better or worse, of Malaysian recipes are started up by people who never had to cook a day in their life back when they were living in Malaysia. I know I sound really cynical, because a lot of Malaysians, when they end up overseas, it means they had the means and opportunity to live or study overseas, and then they think, oh, I really miss like this and that at home, and I've got a fancy $2,000 camera, so I'm going to take some pretty pictures and do a food blog. That's how a lot of them started out. I mean, some are more authentic than others, but essentially like their parents, not like mine. My parents actually sold street food in Malaysia, okay, so we really had it tough. But a lot of these, their parents didn't know how to cook. They'll be like, engineers and doctors. That's why they can afford to send them overseas to study, all right? So if you've got a really, really pretty blog, I tend to view your blog with a little bit more suspicion than someone like Lily's, who's kind of like, yeah, hey, this is my third attempt making this, and sort of stuff. But that's just me. Okay, so abalone sauce. Here you go. You can find this, like I said, if you're in Australia, you can find this on the same shelf where you find oyster sauce, okay? It's virtually like oyster sauce, but it's less intense in flavor. But yeah, if you don't find it, just use oyster sauce. Like I said, it's just a Lily thing, and it's now become my thing as well, okay? So when I used to have this at my restaurant or at my market stalls, I used to do what Lily suggested originally. So in this goes oyster sauce. And the great thing about this sauce is that once it chills, you can bottle it, okay? And then store it in the fridge and use it over the course of a few weeks, okay? Which is what I do. So this is something that Noah, my little Down syndrome kid, really likes. And okay, let's get all of this out. It's not quite as much as I would have liked. And this is what's left of the first bottle of abalone sauce. So Mummy, I actually contacted her, asked about yellow rice wine that I wanted to make for my confined. She's really very nice. Ah, very cool. There you go. Convent girl, you see, that's why. Okay. Yeah, some of them have a little bit of an attitude, but she's really nice. And like I said, when she first connected with me on Facebook, I was really honored. You don't know what people think of you, because you're doing your own thing, they're doing their own thing, and then you think, oh, do they see you as a rival, which some of them do. But no, she was just lovely. Okay, so oyster sauce and abalone sauce, 50-50, maybe a little bit more abalone sauce since I didn't have quite enough oyster sauce in there. Okay, and for soy sauce, I'm using this one here. It says Yo's light soy sauce. I didn't used to use this, okay? Back in my restaurant and where I still sell my food, I actually use Lee Kum Kee soy sauce. But for this, I think this one will work quite well. So like I said, a lot of soy sauces I find can be quite overwhelming in the flavor. Like it can kind of like drown out other flavors. Okay, so this one seems to be okay. Okay. This way. And then we want sesame oil. Where's my, okay. So everyone knows sesame oil, healthy soy sauce. Sesame oil, I've got this in this thing because I've got a big tub of it. But sesame oil, in case you're wondering, because I have actually been asked before by the health brigade, right? They are asking, like, they ask whether the sesame oil we use in Asian cooking is kind of like cold pressed sesame oil, which you get at like Whole Foods places and organic markets and all that sort of stuff. No, it's not, okay? All Asian sesame oil is from roasted sesame seeds, okay? So so they're all like kind of like this, kind of like caramelly color. White pepper, so you want a fair bit of white pepper, and when you serve this up, you want to actually throw more white pepper through this as well, okay? So I'm gonna put, because you'd be surprised, you think like pepper is pepper, you know, but you'd be surprised what a big difference like pepper makes to your dish. I'm going to add a little bit of water to this as well. You know, I'm going to put some of the water into this empty thing of oyster sauce so I can give it a good shake. Get some more out of it. Oops, that did not happen. Okay. Just wipe this down a little bit. Okay, so you just want to simmer this, right? I forgot this. Okay, this is the what we call, in all Asian recipes that you're likely to come across, this will be referred to as thick soy sauce, all right? Apparently there are actually a couple of different brands out there, and apparently there are the ones that some people prefer, but this is the one I've always used. And the brand is Cheongchan, Cheongchan, and you can tell by the elephant on the label, okay? But like I said, you know, apparently you have trouble finding this overseas as well, so this isn't helpful if you're in the USA. But basically, you can see how it pours down quite slowly. Right, I'm trying to get into the middle of the shot, okay? But this Cheongchan brand, for whatever reason, have started over the course of I don't know how long, calling it, instead of thick soy sauce on the label, they call it cooking caramel, okay? So it's a little bit confusing, but this is what it looks like. So it's quite an intense black color, okay? And it's thick and caramelly. So cooking caramel is what it's called. And it's, people confuse it with sweet soy sauce, kicap manis. It's not the same, but you know, if you have to use kicap manis, go use kicap manis if that's easier to find. But kicap manis will be less intense in color, and it will be sweeter as well. So that's something you got to keep in mind, okay? You don't want to make this into a sweet sauce. That's my only concern. But what it primarily does, it adds that really dark hue to your noodles, right? So let's let this simmer, and you want to stir this a little bit. There's a fair bit of oil in this. A bit more than what I usually use, actually. But that's fine. Like I said, you know, you give it a shake and then drench your noodles with it. Toss the noodles with it. Let's just move these away. And this this recipe is actually already on my website because, like I said, I've done this a number of times on all different platforms. So just go to my website and look up wonton, spelt W-A-N-T-A-N, which is the Malay word for wontons, W-O-N-T-O-N. I know it's confusing. And then some people split the difference and spell it W-A-N-T-O-N. That's just wrong. Alright, you can call it wonton, W-A-N-T-A-N, which is Malay for wontons, or you can spell it W-O-N-T-O-N. Okay, don't spell it wonton. Wonton is a word, is a thing. It's not these dumplings. Okay, wonton is an adjective. So all you want to do is just bring this to a boil essentially, but just be a little bit careful because it's going to froth up a bit. Okay, and then once it's mixed through, it's good to go. It tastes to me like it could actually use a bit of a, no, I'm not going to say chicken powder, bit more soy sauce. And then there's some places, right? Well, there's this place in Penang that does wonton noodles where the sauce is a little bit like starchy. All right. Oh, Mummy, go ahead. You know you want to have chicken pie. I am very tempted. I'm very tempted. There's a place in Penang where their wonton noodle sauce is just a hint starchy, right? So that like when you toss the noodles through it, you can see like a nice little glistening sheen to it. And you can do that if you just basically add a bit of basically mix a bit of water with some tapioca or potato starch or even cornstarch, right? Mix it in and throw it in, and then that will just thicken it up a little bit, but it's entirely your call. I've done that before, but I don't usually do that, okay? There we go, let's just put this aside. So this is done, right? That's your wonton noodle sauce. Like I said, you can keep it in your fridge and use it fairly indefinitely. I need to bring some water to a boil. I don't think I need a whole. Okay, let's just... do it in here. And this is for boiling the noodles and the dumplings afterwards. I might just need a bit more water in this. So in the meantime, I want to make some fish paste again, right? This is one of the midnight eye. Hey, how you doing? Whereabouts are you watching from? So I've got my good old bass fillets, right? $6.50 a kilo, frozen from my local supermarket. And I'm gonna cut it into strips and then blend it in the food processor into a paste, okay? So this has been defrosted. It was defrosted overnight, so there's a bit of liquid under it. I'm just going to strain out the liquid. This is going to get a little bit messy. I need a sink in this in my living room. Feels like, because this is my living room, in case you're wondering. So what happens if you live like I do? You don't have a couch, you don't have a sofa, you don't have a TV or anything like that. You have an extended kitchen, minus the kitchen sink. Let's throw this out. And so these are the bass fillets. That's what they look like. I'm going to cut them into like about 3 portions per fillet. Just going to need a cutting board. out of the way a little bit. Let's bring this back in. So I'm gonna blitz this in 2 batches, right? And you know, I'm just gonna use the same food processor. Okay, I mean it's just veggie and it's just prawn and whatever anyway. Amber, how you doing? I always, every time I say Amber, I feel like I'm making fun of your name, and I realize, no, actually it is your name, Amber. Well, it's not, but but it's like it's like you know, you call people by names that rhyme, sort of thing, and then that's actually what you call yourself. Okay, so basically just chunks about like 2-inch wide. Okay, I might in fact do the whole lot in the one go. And if you want, basa fillets tend to have a lot more moisture in them than some other types of fish, all right? In Malaysia, when we make fish paste, we don't use basa, okay? First of all, like, I don't know if you can even get basa. Well, back in the day, you probably couldn't. No, I will do it in 2 batches just to be safe, because you don't want to have to blitz it too long to the point where the blades start heating up and start half cooking your fish paste, all right? So yeah, that's why I'm doing it in 2 batches. You just want to pulse it very, very lightly till it turns into a paste. But sometimes when I use basa fillets, I add a bit of chicken mince to it as well, just probably like a 1:5 ratio, and that gives you a firmer paste. Okay. The only thing is, like, to me, it tastes that little bit less like fish to me, okay, but that's entirely your call. You couldn't technically actually taste the chicken in it because it's been blitzed up with the fish, but to me it just takes away a little bit of that fish aroma. Okay, so let's blitz this. Okay, let's how are you doing? Noah feeling better? He is, thank God. Okay, so this looks like it could I totally forgot. I put tapioca starch in here and some seasoning in there as well. Okay, you can do it after the fact, but yeah, it's easier just to do it now. And of course, I've got my good old chicken powder, which is what I use for seasoning. So in that goes into that fish mixture along with some pepper. And a hint of sugar, all right, because basa, in all honesty, is a cheap fish, right? It costs about a quarter what other types of fish suitable for this actually cost. So to me, it just needs a little bit of help with the flavoring, okay? And this tapioca starch, you can use cornstarch. Generally, tapioca starch has more starchiness to it, right? So if you're using cornstarch, you may need a little bit more in here, but let's just blitz it again. Yeah, with Noah, with his cold, right? He was vaccinated against the flu a couple months back, thank God. But after yesterday's broadcast, his childcare called me up, asked me how he was doing. A little bit concerned because, in all honesty, Noah, when he came out of hospital, because he spent 7 months in the ICU, when he came out of hospital, right, because spent the first 7 months of his life was in the hospital. When he came out, the doctors basically told me it's not over. You know, your life is not ever going to be the same because you're going to be running in and out of hospitals for the rest of your life, because the slightest thing, the slightest cold can trigger him and he'll get pneumonia or whatever. But basically they say he's going to be susceptible to getting sick a lot and severely sick as well, right? So his childcare rang me up to ask me how he was doing, and it turned out apparently they said that the same time last week, because he had childcare Monday and Tuesday, and Wednesday was when he started getting sick, and he just kind of like dropped like a fly, and he's been sick since. same time last week, all the kids had exactly the same symptoms. Like they all came down with this fever, and then they started coughing. All right, which is what he had, and but apparently, a bunch of them have had to be called. Have had their parents called to pick them up from childcare, and 2 of them have ended up in hospital, right? And not only that, apparently the ones in hospital, the doctors told them that they've got type A influenza, which I had to Google to see what it means. Type A influenza apparently is the most widespread, kind of like the most viral of infections. Okay, so they really have to contain it. So basically they called me and asked me how he was doing. I said, look, I'm happy to keep him home for another day, which I did today. But really it's quite funny because he went to the doctors on Saturday, and the doctor said, look, I'm going to prescribe some antibiotics, but if it's a viral infection, it's not going to help. So hold off on the antibiotics for a couple more days, see if he actually gets out of it, because he started getting sick on a Wednesday, and apparently with a viral infection, you should kind of like basically start to get better after about, at about the 5-day mark, okay, which would have been yesterday. And in fact, he actually did get better yesterday. But the worst part of it was that, not worst part, he basically had the worst experience of it over the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. And by that time I was thinking, look, I'm just going to try everything. I'd already been giving him everything, all kinds of painkillers, cough medicine, the Ventolin and all that sort of stuff, and nothing seemed to be helping. So I was like, I'm going to pick up the antibiotics Monday morning, and I did, and he was already getting better, but I'm still giving it to him anyway because it may actually help with secondary infections, so whatever. Okay. Chicken powder hype. Chicken powder emo. That's true actually. If ever I hit the next level of subscribers, I will do a chicken powder emote. I should, you know what? I should actually develop my own range of chicken powders. What do you think? Okay, pepper again, and this is a small, smaller amount than the last batch, but here we go. Tapioca starch, hint of sugar. There's like literally a pinch, all right? Sometimes it looks like I'm putting a lot in, but it's not, because the spoons are actually quite small. And chicken powder. I should get a chicken powder company to sponsor me, right? And then put me on their face, all right? So next time you look at the shelves of chicken powder, you see a Jackie M face on there. Okay, so there you go. It still feels to me like it could, it's blitzed a little bit too much, okay? Sometimes you can tell by the texture, if it's been blitzed a little bit too much, like I said, there is a tendency for it to essentially heat up the fish to the point where it just barely cooks or cooks a lot. So that when you use it, it feels a little bit coarse, okay? And yeah, I mean, it's usable, but it's not ideal. Let's scoop this in. So back in the day, I remember my parents used to actually make the fish paste by hand, and they'll buy like whole fish, right? In Malaysia, you don't really buy like these convenient, well, you probably do now. I'm talking because I'm really old. Back in my day, in a developing country, you want to eat fish, you buy a whole fish, and then you fillet it, and then you scrape the flesh off the skin, right? And then you use the back of a Chinese cleaver to chop it till it's mincy like this, right? And then you use the skin for other stuff, you use the bones for other stuff, because it's all about wasting not and wanting not. Here you go. Okay, so if you're just joining me, like I said, we are going to do a giveaway. And today the giveaway is going to be the Rode microphone. This one here. Have you tried making your own chicken powder? Attempted once, just not to say. You know what? I've seen recipes for chicken powder. It's rubbish, you know, because chicken powder, if you look at the ingredients list on here, all right, there's very little chicken in here, in all honesty. It's all different kinds of flavoring. And people who try to make their own chicken powder essentially think that you can make it by just pureeing chicken breast, chicken meat, okay? And you can't, right? Just let me get Noah. Okay, he wants to come out. Back in the days when food processors didn't exist. Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, yeah. Okay, so that's the fish paste here. Let's just give it a quick toss through. Noe, what do you want? What do you want? Okay, so you can see he's much better. Still not eating very well, even though he wants to eat, right? I tried the Thermomix. But yeah, all the Thermomix community has tons of like recipes for making chicken stock powder, and it's not the same. I have made it for following their recipe, and all it is, what they suggest is basically basically mincing chicken breast and adding lots of salt to it, right? And then they cook it in a Thermomix and blitz it, and then they cook it long enough till it's granular, and they call it chicken stock powder. And it's not the same, because all it tastes is just salty and it lacks the body that you need. All these things are sitting on his chair and he's giving them back to me, little monkey. Hey, what's the matter? Thermomix spent out baking the paste and frozen. Yeah, I've done that. Yeah, Noah's cleaning his chair, that's right. I love this. Yeah, that's what they do, and it's just not, look, you know, I appreciate, because the Thermomix community is basically made up of people who are very focused on healthy eating, okay, so they think that, you know, so they asked me, because I used to work a little bit with, you know, with Thermomix recipes and stuff like that, so they were asking me, oh, you know, how do you make your own oyster sauce, how do you make your own soy sauce? Look, we Asians don't do that, all right, there are limits to the whole healthy eating sphere. And you just don't go and make your own oyster sauce, and because they basically wanted to, they think oyster sauce, healthy oyster sauce, will be basically buying lots of oysters and making your own. Look, that's not, yeah, anyway. And making your own soy sauce will require you to ferment soybeans, like, you know, you actually need a proper structure to do it, right? You can't just kind of like throw some soybeans in a jar and ferment it. It's not how it's worked. It's not how it's done. Okay, let me just cut up some eggplant. Noe, come over here, baby. Okay, let me just knot this and go wash this up. Yeah, come at Mama. Okay, so I bought these eggplant. They're only $3 a kilo, which is super cheap by Aussie standards. A couple of them are a little bit bruised, that's why they were cheap, but this one is pretty decent. So this is really gigantic, right? In Malaysia we don't use this kind of eggplants, but I mean, they taste fine. So this is half, yeah, no, I'll leave them at half. So what I want to do, if you haven't seen me do this before, just move this a bit away. Noe? Yeah, you want to eat? Yeah, good boy. Good boy. Okay, so I want to cut them into like, in chunks, right? In slices, but with slits down the middle. Okay, so we're gonna basically be... Hey, don't touch. We're gonna eat soon, okay, baby? Good boy. Don't touch. Hey, don't touch. Hey, don't touch. Are you good boy? Are you good boy? Hey? I think he was sick of being sick as well, and this morning he was really unsettled, and I was saying like, do you want to eat, do you want to drink, do you want this, do you want that, do you want TV, nothing. And then it turned out he went to the front door and just sat in front of the door next to where his shoes usually are. He couldn't get to the shoes because the table was pushed up against it, and I figured he wanted to go to childcare. Poor thing. You're not allowed at childcare, baby, because they want to control the spread of the flu. Okay, so this water is boiling. Let me just. But basically, with these eggplant, you've seen me do this before. You wanna stick the fish paste in the middle. Okay, this fish paste you can use for lots of different things. All right, not just this. You can actually make fish balls from it. Right, they're not going to be particularly elegant fish bowls, because usually, you know, making fish bowl is an art, right? And you can fry these up as fish, like fried fish bowls and stuff like that too. You can, if you didn't season it, you can use it to make things like Thai fish cakes and add like a red curry paste and some coconut cream into it, right? You can make Malaysian otak-otak, which is Malaysian fish cake, all kinds of stuff. But essentially, this is like a base for a bunch of different types of dishes. But I like my eggplant, so I'm stuffing these eggplant with fish paste. Okay. Noe, can sit down, please, baby. No, what? No. Come over here. Come over here. I'm just gonna clean his nose a little bit. Come, Mama. Good boy. Okay. No, we don't touch. Don't touch. But at least it's not crying. It was crying non-stop before. Come, oh yeah, good boy. You want to sit up? Good boy. Okay. Back in the day when my parents used to make this, they would have like some salted water on the side to smooth over the surface of this. I don't bother. Because that's how I roll. Traditionally, it's fish paste made by cooking fish and mashing it up. You don't cook it. You mash it without cooking it. So this is raw fish over here. Because once you cook it, it loses the stickiness. And you need Ballerine. Hey, how you doing? The fish. Yeah, you need certain. You need the type of fish that has like that starchiness in it, right? In Malaysia, we use what we call ikan parang. I don't know what that's called in. I've seen something called featherbait. Is it featherback? In the freezer of Asian grocery stores, and apparently I think that's ikan parang. But fish names confuse me because different countries have different names of the fish as well. But mackerel is generally kind of like the go-to for a lot of Asians over here. But mackerel in Australia costs upwards of like $25 a kilo, you know. That's why I use basa fillets, which cost $6.50 a kilo. But I add a little bit more flavor to it because basa fillets can be quite bland, and they can be quite, they can hold a lot of moisture as well, okay, which gives you a really soft paste. Ikan parang is swordfish. I don't think it is. I'm not sure. I'm not very good with, but yeah, like I said, I came across something labeled featherback, all right, from Vietnam one time, and my mom said, hey, because she can read the Chinese writing, I can't read Chinese. She said that's what we use for making fish paste, and I bought it, and it had too much bone in it for me to be able to use properly. But you get the idea. But yeah, in Malaysia, if you're making your own fish paste, you would have to contend with like having to debone the fish, like fillet the fish and all that sort of stuff, right? So just using just frozen fish fillets like what I'm doing here is like a really simplified version. That's why a lot of Malaysians, when they live overseas, right, they think, oh, you know, oh, I really miss eating yong tau fu or stuffed veggies and all that, you know, but I don't make it because it's so much hard work. I think it's because of their hangover from their traditional ways of doing a lot of food, doing a lot of food prep, you know, back in Malaysia. It doesn't have to be that way, you know, no problems. Okay. Again, guys, if you're watching this anywhere else, right, we're going to be doing a draw in a bit for a Rode microphone. And if you've already won a Rode microphone, I'm going to give you something else, okay? Because if you've already won the Rode microphone and you win again, I'll give you something else because I want to spread the Rode microphone. I want to spread all my giveaways across my community. But yeah, if you're watching this anywhere else, that's good. But first of all, I can't monitor any chat comments if you're watching this elsewhere. And also, so you have to go over to Twitch. So go over to twitch.tv/JackieMFood. And also, when we do the draw, you have to be watching it from Twitch to enter the draw, okay? Because the software I use only pulls names from my Twitch audience. Okay, so like this is really rough, okay? Like I said, if I were using a knife, I would be like spreading this properly a little bit. And if you want, like I said, you can have like a, you know, some salted water on the side to kind of smooth this over a little bit prettier and stuff. But this for personal consumption, so I don't bother. Ikan parang is wolf herring. Okay, there you go. Okay, just in case you can remove people from a drawing, yeah. Sea of Whiskey. Okay, sure. Sea of Whiskey wants nothing from me. I'm almost insulted. No, I'm kidding. Okay, that's cool. No worries. So I need some oil. I'm just going to dip these in some oil and I'm going to throw them in the air fryer. You can deep fry this, of course, but this was actually Cookie's recommendation. Air frying is actually, well, her suggestion. She thought that it might work, and it does work much better. Because the thing about eggplant is that it absorbs oil like a sponge. So if you deep fry this, it will keep absorbing oil to the so much so that at the end you actually have to drain it and pat it down a bit, sort of thing. It's a bit of a pain. So that was something I used to have to put up with until I got the air fryer. And in case you're wondering, this air fryer was gifted to me by a company called Prestige Home Appliances. If you want to find out more about it and about the thermal cook and about the pressure cooker, you can find out more at prestigehomeappliances.com.au, okay? Okay, so I'm just coating this with some oil and then I'm going to air fry it for 15 minutes or so. There's plenty of featherback fish recipes. Good memory. Cool. I figure drawing should go to people who can use the mic. Have too many at home. Oh, okay, cool. Fair enough. Yeah, I know the feeling. Sometimes it gets to the point where you just, you know. I've got a lot of computers, but I wouldn't say no to a computer. Hey, Soybean. Hey, Soybean, you gotta send me your address because Sea of Whiskey's gifted your gifted the yeah the previous giveaway to you. Okay, so that's this here, and $15 minutes. Okay, so I'm going to do the next batch after that. And I've got, this is the filling I made for the dumplings, right? So back it comes. And like I said, if you missed the earlier part of this, I've only got dumpling skin, and I really want to actually, these are oval compared to the wonton skins I usually use, which are square, okay? It doesn't really matter. And also it's a little bit different as well. It's got no egg, so it's whiter, and it's quite old as well. How do you want me? Whisper yet would be perfect. Yeah. So, and this is really old, okay? It's stuck together, so I'm going to struggle trying to pull it apart a little bit. But I want to make some dumplings. I'm going to poach them, and I'm going to poach some Chinese greens as well. And then I'm going to cook some noodles, okay? So they're really, really stuck together. I mean, this was literally at the back of my fridge. I actually had fresher wonton skins that already gone moldy. Well, they didn't go moldy, but for whatever reason, they just look dodgy. And this one is actually a few weeks older than that, and it's still fine, but it's just very sticky. Cool. Okay. So, but these ones are traditionally like for well, more common. Well, I'm guessing here, but these ones here, I think they were meant for like they label it as gaojis, which are wrapped differently. Gaojis are like kind of like the, you know, those Chinese restaurant dumplings. So you got the filling here, and then you kind of like fold this into a fan sort of thing. So they're all like scrunched up. You got that pleated pattern over here. I'm not gonna bother doing that, okay? Because I'm just boiling this in the water. Thanks, Valerine. So let's try and split this apart. Here you go. So I'm filming tomorrow in a part of Sydney where we're going to be promoting the food scene over there, and I was asked if I could bring some family along, all right, because we're going to basically go on a restaurant hopping exercise, and this particular suburb we're going to actually promote as being a destination that's very family friendly, all right. So different suburbs have different vibes, obviously. You know, some are suited for, like, you know, I guess young people. This particular suburb is suitable for family dinners, okay? So they asked, oh, do you have family? You can come along, all right? And it's going to be a 5-hour shoot, right? Most people at work on a weekday, you know, from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m., which is when we're shooting. So I asked my family, so I've separated these here. I asked my family, I think, hey guys, you know, anyone would be interested in coming along to this thing, right? And basically, the trade-off is you get free food. That's about it. You get free food, and you get to be part of this video shoot. Okay. You get to experiment, like taste all this food from like a number of different restaurants. Turns out to be 3, right? And at last count, my extended family, there's like 35 of us spread across like most of Sydney, right? And they're on WhatsApp in this group chat. And Orania, how you doing? Hey, gentle, 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 gentle. Here we go. So I'm gonna basically wrap these quickly and toss them into the water straight away, okay? So just a little teaspoon of this, and you're gonna fold it up like this, and just pinch the edges, okay? So in this big WhatsApp group, I asked anyone interested in coming along. I got one response from my brother. He's on, he's traveling through the UK at the moment, so fair enough. So I wish I could, but I'm in the UK. And it shows how close my family is. I don't even know where everyone is. Then my oldest sister said, oh, yeah, you know, I think we could make it because she's retired, she and her husband. And she, her son and his wife and their kids, she said, oh, we might be able to bring the whole clan, you know, is that okay? I said, yeah, sure, that's fine, you know. So I said, oh, can you confirm by Sunday night? And then Sunday night they come back, and it turned out only the husband and wife could make it, right? Instead of husband, wife, daughter-in-law, son, and 4 kids, okay? So I was thinking, like, just husband and wife isn't enough to make a family. Just husband and wife and Jackie at the table. We need more people. So I started roping in people from from Facebook and whatever. I actually roped in my neighbor, of all things. My neighbor, who's this elderly Thai woman, and she's vegetarian. So she probably won't even eat much. She said, yeah, she'll come. And I roped in this girl who used to work for me at the market stall. She's just given birth to a baby, well, about a year ago now. So she's a housewife at home. So she's going to come, right? So I tell the video team, okay, so I've got me, 2 friends plus my sister and her husband. And guess what happens right after that? The son and the daughter-in-law who couldn't make it before, hey, we may be able to make it after all. So I went back to the production team and said, hey, look, instead of 6 people, it's now going to be like an extra 6 people. And they said, oh, that's a lot of people. I said, look, you know, it's not a lot I can, you know, I said, look, you know, it's family. You can't really say, well, you know, tough, you know, we don't want you anymore, sort of thing. So I say, oh, come along. So now they're gonna have to split the restaurants into 2 groups. Like basically, they have to, you know, because they're getting to eat for free, right? There's a budget involved and all that. So it looks like instead of everyone getting to eat at 3 restaurants, it's going to be each. Some will only get to eat at 1.5 or whatever, however they work it out to be. But I'm a little embarrassed about it all. Family doesn't have to be related. I know. It's that whole Bible story about how the king, like, you know, has a wedding and invites all these people, and they all made all sorts of excuses why they can't make it. He ends up calling all the riffraff. I felt like that for a while, and of course, like I said, at the last minute they say, hey, I think we can make it after all, and it's like, yeah, okay, sure, yeah, lovely, you know. But anyway, so that should be enough dumplings. And me. Alison, thanks for following. He likes to close the drawers. Yes, he does. There's a thing with him. And it actually is, it shows that he's getting better because he's been sick for nearly a week now. So I've got the kailan, Chinese broccoli, okay, which to me is like as healthy as kale without the price tag, alright? So everyone who raised on about kale and whatever, before kale there was kailan. No, you come over here. Good boy. Good boy. So we are not too far off from doing the draw for the Rode microphone. See, whiskey, you should just go in the drawer and then, you know, again, like nominate someone else to have it, you know. Soybean. Sorry, it's taking me forever to catch up reading channel chat. Okay, so you know they're done when they float up and stay floating up, and you can see like little air pockets, like pockets of like air bubbles, like in the dumpling where the filling is, okay? They don't take long at all to cook. I'm just gonna keep putting some stuff away because Noah is being a little bit dangerous. Noah, you talk to Mama? You're gonna get people bribing you to nominate them if you win. Sea of Whiskey is has unusual luck in my drawers, in my drawings. Okay. Before kale, there was kailan. I know, right? I should frame that up. I should do it as an inspirational quote and post it on Instagram. Once the top of the lid is closed in funds, I'll live them. Okay, so this is... He keeps pushing things out of his way and they're getting closer and closer to me. Okay. this is what they look like. They're done. Okay, this, like I said, this is paler than normal, but because this isn't the usual. This isn't the usual dumpling wrapper I use for my wontons. Okay. Stop pushing things, okay? You wanna eat? You wanna eat? You're hungry? You should. Okay, so these are the wonton noodles, right? Okay, they're called wonton noodles because they're usually served with wontons, okay? But they're otherwise just basically egg noodles. Just gonna make a little bit more, okay? So these ones that we use for wonton noodles, you can tell a lot of noodles look very similar in the refrigerated section of your Asian grocery store, all right? And so this one looks very similar to another one that's labeled chow mein noodles, okay? Chow mein noodles are not drenched in flour like wonton noodles, okay? That's really the main point of difference. Chow mein noodles are cooked right through, and the chow mein noodles are good for stir fries, right? Wonton noodles, you either fry this in oil till it's crispy, or you blanch it in water like this, okay? But you don't want to be stir frying this straight out of the packet. Those are for chow mein noodles, okay? And if on the flip side, if you use chow mein noodles for this, you still want to toss it in water, but it will be a little bit al dente more so than this, okay? This is very soft and slippery once you cook it up, whereas chow mein noodles, if you boil it in some hot water, it will be still a little bit crunchy. No, we don't touch. Don't touch, please, baby. They're going through the many meat, no, I think they can reach him. I don't know. He's actually very social. Look, I think Noah's condition lends itself to people who think that they want to go the extra mile, you know, for whatever reason. Pertains to a friend, right? Yeah. But like, I have a psychic friend, right? A friend who is a practicing psychic, who one time, like unsolicited, kind of started telling me things about Noah, which was all rubbish, okay? I'm sorry, I know there are people out there who genuinely have connection with, you know, and I'm not disputing whether these people are real or fake psychics, okay? First of all, I don't indulge in that realm anymore, okay? Because I'm a Christian and I think it's harmful and all that sort of stuff. We can go into that another time. But yeah, but that guy started telling me things about Noah that were just completely off the mark, okay? And like I say, he's actually on television. He's a TV psychic and all that, okay? And respectfully, you know, you just kind of like accept it. Like I didn't ask him to do a reading on a thing, but he started telling me basically that he thinks that Noah is the reincarnation of my dad, and or you know, I've had another psychic on Facebook say that he thinks that he's a reincarnation of a Buddhist monk, and then yeah, this guy told me that Noah is trying to tell me something about me, that I am overcompensating, I'm being too, you know, just rubbish stuff, that I'm being too masculine because I'm trying to play both father and mother role to him and stuff like that. So it's just complete nonsense, right? I get very annoyed when people think that, oh, they look at him and, you know, whatever, and say, oh, look, you know, he can't communicate with you because he's, you know, mentally incapable, but he can talk to me through this special psychic channel and whatever. And I know it's nonsense because, you know, he then, as with most ignorant people, not realizing that Down syndrome, people with Down syndrome have a tendency to have a heart defect as well. He didn't know that there was a connection between that. He then supposedly channeled my father because my father had just passed away. So, I mean, you know, my father was alive when he was alive, so I know how he can be a reincarnation of my dad. He said that my father, he was channeling my dad, who was telling him how sorry he was that he passed on his heart defect to my son, all right? And my dad never had any heart problems. And like I said, for him to assume that Noah's heart defect is picked up you know, as a hereditary trait, it's just utter nonsense, okay? So yeah, guys, don't see psychics, don't waste your money on them. Sorry, that's just me, okay? I know, like I said, I have friends who are psychic and who are the most sincere people in the world, but like, yeah. Anyway, that's my little rant for the day. A lot of fakes out there. My son was reincarnated Big Mac. But seriously, you know, literally, we were just meeting up for dinner, okay? I didn't say anything, and he said, look, I feel like I have to tell you this, you know, that you're getting more and more masculine and stuff like that, and look, your son is trying to tell me that you're overcompensating, you're losing your feminine edge and all that because you're having to be both father and mother to this kid, and this is just, you know. Okay. Is that... Okay, so in goes the kailan. Now, usually I will tell people when you're cooking Chinese greens, right, you literally toss it in, count to 5, take it out, okay? But kailan are a little bit more sturdy than your average Chinese greens. Still, you're looking at cooking it for seconds, not minutes, all right? And also, if you had the stems, which I actually used for the filling, if you had the stems, throw in the stems, count to 10, then throw in the greens, because the stems do take a little bit longer to cook. And sometimes with kailan stems, if they're quite thick and quite woody, you would want to actually peel the outer layer off of it, okay, because they can be quite fibrous. And then even after that, you might want to cut the stems at an angle so that they're thinner slices and they're easy to cook up, right? But kailan is pretty much the only Chinese greens that you would actually be a little bit focused on making sure that it cooks through properly. Tell him mind his own business. People prey on others. I'm so glad you're strong. You know, like I said, that guy was a friend. I don't think he was deliberately preying on me. He may be completely deluded or whatever, but like the fact of the matter is, it's rubbish. Okay. Okay, so that's the wonton noodle sauce. And in Malaysia, if you bought this is a very breakfast dish, by the way. If you bought this in Malaysia, let's take out the greens before I kill them. Okay. Yeah, I don't think they're deliberately looking to exploit me, because like I said, you know, they generally mean well. But yeah. So in Malaysia, the hawker that sells these wonton noodles, they'll basically have like this big, like deep set tub, right? That's split in half. Often, usually on one side there'll be like a very fairly bland broth, right? And on the other half it'll be water, boiling water. That's what they use to boil the noodles and the greens and stuff like that. And usually, in all honesty, this is served with what's called a char siu, which is a barbecue pork, right? I don't eat pork. When I do make it, I use chicken. So I've done that a number of times. Yeah, to me, like, yeah, it's just a little bit more involved than just doing this. Okay, this is a lot simpler. So usually, what they would do, they'll blanch the noodles and then they'll toss it in cold water just to kind of like give it that little bit of a, well, technically that al dente texture, okay? Because it does continue to cook and it does continue to soften if it's hot like this. Then you want to toss it some, so usually they'll do it separately, okay? I'm just kind of like actually just spooning the sauce over it. But you, like I said, the sauce is quite oily and you want it to be quite oily. Okay, I'll just put some oil in here and then you use chopsticks or whatever to toss it through. Okay. Now we're gonna eat soon, okay? Just put a little bit more through here. Okay. And then let's throw in the greens. He's getting cranky. And then these, they do stick together if you don't use them right away, all right? These will usually, usually they'll sit in the bowl of that broth I mentioned. So they'll serve this with the char siu, the sliced barbecued meat on the side. And oftentimes they'll have the dumplings. Well, they can have it on the plate itself, but a lot of the time the dumplings sit in a separate little rice bowl sized bowl of the clear broth. No, stop it, please. Stop it. He's positioning himself at his side of the table, so he can eat. But he's knocking things out of the way in the process as well. Okay. So like I said, these dumplings, the skin is a little bit different to what I usually use, and then you can add a bit more sauce and oil over the dumplings. Okay. When I sold this at my market stall, what I did with the dumplings was I would toss it in oil after I poached them, okay? Because the dumplings take a couple of minutes to poach. So if I'm not serving it right away, because we like to get ahead of the orders, right? What we will do, we'll pre-poach it and toss it in a lot of oil so they don't stick together. And then when we get any orders, we'll take them out of the oil and then just quickly like heat them through in the water again. But at least you're not cooking it from scratch, right? So got that, and we want some pepper. Okay. So, like I said, a lot of pepper really works really well with this dish. And if you want, you can throw in the crispy garlic, right? Over that. And you can throw in some crispy fried shallots, which you've seen me do a number of times. And am I missing anything with this dish? Soybean, no, it's gonna... Oh, it's gonna start streaming. Oh, really? Tupperware is gonna go live. What's Tupperware? Okay, so this is basically it. Like I said, the dumplings are a little bit like paler than how they should turn out because I'm using a different dumpling skin. Let's just try and see what it tastes like. Okay, yeah, it tastes fine. Let me check the eggplant. Okay, this is after 15 minutes. I'm just going to cook it a little bit longer. Flip them around. Okay, and just cook them for another, I guess about 5 minutes or so. Okay. Now you want to try this? Okay. So are we ready for the draw? I've made homemade wontons. Oh yeah, it's easy, right? And yeah. I was going to make the cheesecake today, by the way, but I forgot to buy cream cheese because I checked and the cream cheese was off. That I had sitting in my fridge. Okay, so let's bring up log tools. Okay, I love wontons. Yeah, you know, it's one of those things I really like, but which I generally don't eat when I'm out because most wontons, 99% of wontons out there will be made with pork, and I don't eat pork. So let's do this. Never tried wontons, to give them a go. It's so easy. Like I said, you saw how I made them. Do I have one sitting in here still? Okay, I've got a couple sitting in here still. They're falling apart as well. That's the other thing you gotta, if the wonton wrapper is quite old, they do have a tendency to fall apart more easily. That's a hint to you that, yeah, it's on its last legs. lock tools. Okay. Oh, I can actually capture lock tools like this. Is that the same thing? No. Remove. Okay. So again, guys, if you missed my announcement before, today we're going to do the draw for one more of the Rode video microphones, right? So are we all ready? Anyone if not paying attention, you've got 60 seconds once your name is called to whisper me your address and send the name, addressee, right? Name. So I can't call you Soybean Jenny, for instance, sort of thing, because your post office might not recognize that. But so this is a random draw, and you have to be in my. I think you just have to be watching, really, you know. But it helps if you say hello in the chat so that Lock Tools knows you're there. So let's do this. Let's capture Lock Tools. Okay, got it. Okay. Let's expand this. Okay, you guys can see this okay? Move this over here a little bit. Okay, are we ready? Are we ready? Okay, cool. So your name's going to be randomly called, and you can see it here. And the winner gets, I get to send out one of these, courtesy of Rode microphones, guys. Rode Mic, RODEMIC.com, I think is their website. So check them out. They have supported me for years and years, and we are just about to do a draw for the giveaway. Okay, add viewers. Okay. Hello. Okay, cool. Right here. So this will be. Let me remove Nightbot. Okay, starting now. Yes. Holy crap, Valorine, you won! Holy crap! So Valorine, all right, yes, you can come pick it up from me. It saves me on postage. I know, right? Who would have thought it? I know. Okay, so I've got 5 more of these to give away, guys. So I'm gonna spread it out over, again, like over my future broadcasts. So rigged, I know, it feels like it. You guys have seen Valorine. She's been around here a couple of times during my broadcast. So hopefully this Saturday night, I'm broadcasting again this Friday at the same time, 12:30, right? And Valkyrie, hey, how you doing? You just missed out on the draw. We just gave away one of these video Rode microphones. That's all right. We've got a whole bunch more to give away. All right. So I've got 5 more of these microphones to give away over the course of my however long I decide, over the course of the next few weeks. And I've got 5 more of the Lenovo mini speakers. Let me bring it out. Lenovo mini speakers. There you go. This is my meat. I haven't tried it yet. Yeah, it sounds promising though. I'm gonna try it. Okay, so Lenovo mini speakers, 5 more of these to give away, and I have got a whole bunch of I'll make at least a couple of goodie bags of Australian candy, all right, Australian snacks and biscuits and whatnot sort of stuff. So they are like, you know, all your usual Australian iconic stuff like Tim Tams, snakes, and violet crumble and all that sort of stuff. So that will be, I hope to be able to draw that this Saturday night, maybe. I don't know. We'll see how we go on Friday. Okay, cool. Right here. So congrats, Valerie. Noah's getting a little bit destructive, so I'm going to wrap it up here, guys. Thanks so much for joining me. So no stream tomorrow night. So between now and Friday, I'll be doing replays on my channel as usual. Yeah, so I look forward to seeing you this Friday. In the meantime, don't forget to join my Discord server, which is bit.ly/discordjackie, all lowercase. That's where you can talk to me about recipes, about whatever else you want to talk about. There are a lot of different channels on that server, including like stories, Saturday night campfire stories. I need stories, guys. So if you want to post your, oh, thank you. That's very cool of you. Thanks for stringing. Good night. Oh, thank you thanks. You guys are so damn cool. Yeah. So I look forward this Friday. Look forward to your company this Friday, Sydney time, 12:30 GMT plus 10, and I will see you then. Like I said, Discord server. That's where you get to talk to me. All right. Ciao, guys. Thank you. Thanks for that. Yeah, he's getting better.